Hey drummers, it's Rob Litton here from drumstheword.com and welcome to this free mini song lesson. This song has been requested many times over on my Facebook page. The song is Swords of a Thousand Men by Tenpole Tudor, drums by Gary Long. I've got the free PDF that comes with this lesson teaching you the main parts of the song, 2 pages of drum notation which you can download from my website. You'll find a link for these free PDFs beneath this video, so go along over to my website now and have those printed out in front of you as we go through this lesson. The first section I want to talk about is the beginning of the song, there's some horse sound effects at the very beginning, but then in 9 seconds into the song, Gary comes in with the drums. Very simple stuff. We're playing triplets all the way through this song. Most of it's a shuffle hi-hat pattern, but we'll get onto that in a second. It starts off with just playing simple triplets on the snare drum. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3. 3 notes per beat. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, if you want to count it correctly, or 1 2 3, 1 2 3, however you want to feel it. But basically we're playing 3 notes per beat, and we're starting off really quiet, and over 4 bars we're building up in volume. 1 2 3 4 2 2 3 4 3 2 3 4 4 2 3 4 into our first groove without me cutting over the top. And then we're into our first section, our first groove, sorry. And I've written here, note, the toms were overdubbed. So this is how just one drummer could replicate the part. So throughout the song, we get this theme, dum, da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, where these tom effects are being added over on the 2 and the and of 2. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Almost flammed a little bit to make them sound bigger. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3. And of course, one drummer can't replicate that while still playing the groove. These toms were added on top of the drum part. So what I've got for you here is how one drummer could replicate this live. This is how I would play it live. So we've got the first bar. The first thing to understand is we're playing quarter notes on the bass drum all the way through. 1, 2, 3. That's just pumping all the way through, which is nice, just to keep the pulse going. And on top of that, we're playing a shuffle hi-hat pattern. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the shuffle drum pattern is made up of the first and the third note of the triplet. If we're counting 1 2 3 or 1 triplet, 1 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, what we're doing is just skipping over the second note on the hi-hat. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So that creates the shuffle effect, the first and the third note of each triplet. And I like to count it simply. If we're just playing the shuffle pattern, I count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's the counting I've written above the notation for you here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So we're just simply shuffling the counting instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And what we got here is a snare drum backbeat on beats 2 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But to replicate that tom part, what I recommend you play is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And we've got the and of 2 there coming up to the high tom or another lower tom if you want, doesn't matter what tom you use. You could also play the tom on beat 2 as well. I haven't actually written that down for you, but you can explore with having the right hand come off the hi-hat, you'll be playing over here, and coming down to play a tom on beat 2 and then another tom on the and of 2. That's another way you could play it, but to keep things simple, and when you're playing at this tempo, it is quite fast. What I've done for you is missed out the first tom on beat 2, which you can hear on the recording, but then you because the snare drum's playing there, you don't really miss it that much, but to make sure you get the tom on the and of 2. So what I've written here for you is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. We still hear that da 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 da, the first note being the snare drum, the second note being the tom. That's certainly how I would play it live. It didn't have to be all the notes you hear on the recording. That's still giving the effect that we're after. So that first bar, it starts with a crash cymbal. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and into the second bar, which is the same, but then Gary plays this extra snare drum note, which was recorded with the drum part, the drum kit part, on the and of beat 4. So exactly same as the and of 2 here, but just on the snare drum on the and of beat 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... That's the second bar there. The third bar goes into a crash cymbal with the and of 2 on the tom. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and then we get this repeating drum fill idea that occurs throughout the song with one variation later on, where he comes down on the hi-hat, open hi-hat on beat 1, 1, we come down to the snare drum with the right hand, and on the and of beat 2, remember and of beat 1, remember we're counting it shuffled, 1 and, so 1 and 2 triplet, 1 and 2 triplet 3, it rolls into beat 3, 1 and 2 triplet 3, 1 and 2 triplet 3 and 4 triplet 1 and 2 triplet 3 and 4 triplet dum 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 dum, 1 and 2 triplet 3 and 4 triplet 1 and 2 triplet 3 and 4 triplet 1. Notice I'm counting the full triplet there for 2 triplet and 4 triplet because all the notes are being played there. 1 and 2 triplet, 3 and 4 triplet, 1 and 2 triplet, 3 and 4 triplet 1. So slowly those 3 lines and I'll play up to speed for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually I'll play a little bit slower. I'll skip the intro because the first 4 bars is pretty simple stuff. To start with the two lines of main groove. Play a little bit slower, then I'll play up to speed for you. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And notice here when I play a crash cymbal, 1, don't feel the need to rush back to the hi-hat to play the and of 1. You don't have to go 1 and 2. You can just play 1, 2. That's what I did there. Naturally, most drummers will do that because the crash cymbal is ringing out for the whole of the quarter note. You don't really miss that hi-hat shuffle note on the and of 1. So whenever you're playing a crash cymbal on the downbeat of 1, don't feel the need to rush back to the hi-hat unless you want to. You can quite comfortably come back for beat 2 and not worry about the and of 1. It's totally up to you. So now let's hear those 3 lines played up to speed without a microphone on so you can hear just the drums. Here we go. So the next section I've got for you that occurs at 20 seconds is really just the main drum beat. Very, very simple stuff. We're just simply playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and there's a shuffle pattern on the hi-hat with the bass drum pumping underneath, the snare drum on beats 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. By the way, if you really find this shuffle difficult at this speed, it is quite fast. And if you haven't got this molar whip technique where you're using the whip action and you're having to play it like this, it's going to be really tiring for the full 3 minutes. So unless you've got that motion going, what you can do is you can just play quarter notes instead. So for all these shuffle patterns I'm showing you, we're playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. If you really just want to play onto the song for fun, just play quarter notes instead. It won't sound the same, obviously, but it'll get you through the song at least. So don't feel the need you have to play the shuffles. In fact, you can play the shuffles every other beat, like a jazz ride pattern, but on the hi-hat. So you still get that little shuffle note occasionally, but it's not every single time, just to give your right hand a bit of a rest. So let's hear this. Let's now hear that played up to speed without the microphone on, just for fun. Here we go. So then we get a repeating idea that occurs for the first time at 24 seconds into the song, where we had it for the first section in one of the bars. We're simply playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and... Whenever you hear that extra snare drum note, it's occurring on the and of beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're playing the quarter note version with the hi-hat, I'm still shuffling the left hand, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... But I'm just playing the right hand on quarter note. So you can still play that snare drum there if you're playing just the quarter note version on the hi-hat. And again, just for fun, here's it played up to speed. So on to page 2 of the notations, and this next section occurs at 38 seconds. We've got a shortened drum fill, so I thought I'd include it before we go into 3 bars of groove before a stop. So the first bar we're playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 triplet 1. So exactly the same as the 1 and 2 triplet 3 and 4 triplet drum fill, but just occurring on beat 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 triplet 1. So just half of it really. Then we go into 3 bars of groove. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the very last bar, I think he plays a flam on beat 1, 1. So we stop there on beat 1 of the last bar with the bass drum and flam snare drum, 1. So going into it, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then we're back in with the next section. So that break occurs 3 or 4 times throughout the song. So those 2 lines, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 triplet 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's hear those 2 lines up to speed. So this next drum fill occurs at 50 seconds. It starts with the same idea, open hi-hat on beat 1, 1, then we come down to the snare drum for the and of beat 1, 1 and 2 triplet, but then we continue the triplet notes all the way through. 1 and 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 and 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. But at the end of the bar, starting from the and of beat 3, we go down the toms. So beat 3, we get 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. On the recording, it's quite hard to hear if he's playing different toms. It could just be 3 triplet, 4 triplet, or 3 triplet, 4 triplet. The last 4 notes just on 1 tom. But how I would play it, as I play it down the toms, just nice, because it lends itself really nicely to play 2, 2, 2. But feel free to play 2, 4 if you wanted to instead of 2, 4. It doesn't really matter. But this is how I hear it. 1 and 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. So if you get a groove going into it and out of it, this is how I recommend you practice these kind of things. Practice the bit before it and after it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. Improvise a little bit there and changed the orchestration, but you can see when you're playing along to a song like that, as long as the rhythm's correct, no one's going to notice whether you went to the tom earlier or later. But on the recording, properly again, 1 and 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. And without the microphone on, up to speed. So this next drum fill is kind of quirky. It occurs at 2 minute 22, and we get this offbeat open hi-hat note. This time though, instead of playing 1 and 2 triplet, what Gary does is he plays all the notes. He goes 1 triplet. He comes down for the trip, the middle note of the triplet on beat 1. 1 triplet. Before we were playing 1 and 2. Now we're playing 1 triplet 2. You're playing all the notes there, right, left, right. So we get 1 triplet 2, and then the right hand comes up to the hi-hat for the trip of beat 2. So 2 triplet, and then just all the rest on the snare drum. It sounds complicated, but what we're doing here is the first note with the right hand, we're playing a whole bar of this, but just coming up to the hi-hat for the correct notes. 1 triplet 2, 1 triplet 2 triplet 3 triplet 4 triplet, 1 triplet 2 triplet 3 triplet 4 triplet. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Just come up to the hi-hat for that with the right hand for that middle note of beat 2. That's kind of good fun. And then let's hear that up to speed. And then finally, towards the end of the song, 2 minute 25, we get these crash cymbals. And I'm pretty sure that, well, I'm not pretty sure about the crash cymbals, but we got the toms being overdubbed, we got the crash cymbal occurring. It might be overdubbed as well, but there's certainly a way for a drummer to play this. And so I've got it written here for you. We get this, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So we get that 2 and occurring in this section, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that accent and snare drum crash cymbal on beat 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's quite hard to play and 4 and 4, come up to the right hand to the crash cymbal in time. So feel free to just stop on beat 3, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, really can't rush to the crash cymbal in time. I find that one harder than this one. But as you can see, up to speed, it's not impossible to rush to the crash. But if you wanted to, just stop the hi-hat on beat 3 and don't feel the need to rush from the and of 3 to beat 4, if that makes sense. So finally, let's hear that up to speed. And there you go. So if you've got any questions about any of that, feel free to email me, rob@drumstheword.com. Don't forget to download both pages of the free PDF from my website. You'll find a link beneath this video. And you might also want to consider signing up to my website, drumstheword.com. And what I currently offer for $97 is a full year's online access to every single full video song lesson that I've ever recorded. That's over 350 famous and popular songs where I teach you a song from start to finish. Unlike this mini song lesson where I just taught you the main parts, I teach you every single bar, every single beat and fill from start to finish. And like I said, I've got over 350 famous and popular songs on the website already. As a thank you for signing up, I give you access to hundreds of little videos teaching you many, many famous drum beats, fills and drum solos. I give you 3 ebooks I've written over the years containing hundreds more famous drum beats, fills and solos. And then over the year of your subscription, you also gain instant online access to all the new material that I upload for my members. So you've got lots of cool stuff to look forward to over the year of your subscription. But if you've got any questions about any of that, feel free to email me, rob@drumstheword.com. And until our next drum lesson together, toodle pip and happy drumming to you.